The 0.6 update for Create Mod is now out and it adds a ton of cool new features. Most new blocks are geared towards the new logistics mechanics that allow you to automate your factories in more efficient ways. And most importantly, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's get to it. Alright, so let's start by having a look at the chain conveyor. So this is a new block that has quite a few features. So first of all, it's a way of transmitting rotation. So I can attach a shaft to the bottom or the top, and it'll transmit that through these chains here. So to set this up, all you have to do is place your chain conveyor, right click the source with the chain, and then you can right click the destination with the same chain, and it'll connect them and the rotation will be transferred. So you can see the shaft here is spinning, and you can connect anything to it just like you would with any other blocks that transmit rotation. And what's really cool is that you can right click the chain with a wrench and you can ride the chain like this. And when you're at an intersection, you just look at the chain that you want to go to and you'll go in that direction. So this is another fun way to get around, and I think it's a great addition to Create Mod. The chain conveyor does have one more very important function, but I'll get to that a bit later in the video. So up next we have the item hatch. So you can connect it to any inventory like a vault or a chest, and how it works is you just right click it with an item and it'll put that in the container. And I can also shift and right click and my entire inventory will be deposited into the chest. Okay, so here we have the packager, and it's probably the most important block in this entire update. Without the packager, a lot of the blocks that this update adds would not work. So what the packager does is you attach it to an inventory like a chest. And you can see here I have this chest that's completely full with stakes. And if I apply a redstone signal to it, it's going to create a package. And what it does is it takes as much inventory as it can and it puts it into that package. So the maximum amount is 1 row of inventory. So I can just right click it here and I can carry the package and I can place it down, and I can also right click again to pick it back up. So if I want to break open the package, I can either place it and destroy it, or I can hold shift and right click. So you see I don't have a package anymore and I just have a bunch of steak. So one more fun thing that we can do with packages is we can take them and we can hold right click and we can just throw them pretty far. And what's also neat is these packages are affected by physics, so you don't even need Valkyrian skies to play around with physics. They just move like blocks, and you can even stack them on top of each other. So you're going to see in this video that packages are pretty integral to how everything works. So everything revolves around taking packages, sending them somewhere, and using them either to craft new items or just to send them to inventory somewhere. So of course you're going to want to automate how you send your packages around your factory. So what you can do is you can place your packager on a conveyor like this and put a funnel on it. And then when you give it a redstone signal, it'll create a package and send it out along the conveyor. And on the receiving end, you can put another packager with a funnel and it'll take the contents, unpack it, and put it into the destination chest. So another important feature about the packager is that if you place a sign on it and add some text to it, it'll assign any package that it puts out to that destination. So here I have warehouse written on the sign. So this packager will address every package that it puts out to the warehouse destination. And on this packager, I have a sign with factory written on it. So this one will address every package that it puts out to factory. So how do we assign the destination? Well, if we have something like a brass funnel, we can assign filters to it. So the mod adds these new package filters. So all I have to do is write down my desired destination. So in this case, factory. And I can just place it on this side of the funnel, and all of the packages addressed for the factory will come out of this side of the funnel. And I have another package filter that has warehouse written on it. And if I place it on this side of the tunnel, all of the blocks addressed to warehouse will come out of that side. So here I have cogs addressed to the factory, and I have gold nuggets addressed to the warehouse. So when I turn on these conveyors, we should see that all of the cogs go to the factory side and all of the nuggets go to the warehouse side. And just a reminder to always have a redstone signal going to your packagers, otherwise they won't work. So let's flick this lever and we can see that all of the gold nuggets are coming out to this side and all of the cogs are going to this side. So this is just one of the ways that you can control where your packages go by using addresses. So another way that you can move packages around is by using the package frog port in conjunction with the chain conveyor. So to set this up, all you have to do is right click the chain conveyor with your frog port and place it right here. So I have an andesite funnel going into the frog port. Over here I have some destination frog ports, and you'll see they have names, but they can also connect directly to inventory. So you can just place it directly on a chest or a vault or whatever you want, and it'll transfer the package into that inventory. So we can also address packages by using frog ports. So these packages are going to Bob and these packages are going to Timmy. So what we do is we can just right click a frog port and set the destination. So this one is set to Bob, and we can set the destination by clicking here and just typing whatever we want. So I'll put it back to Bob and it will take all of the Bob packages. So you'll notice it takes every second package. It took that one, but this one it'll let go by because that one is addressed to Timmy. And of course, if we go here, we see that this one is addressed to Timmy. So it's taking all of the Timmy packages. So this update also gives us a bunch of post box in 16 different colors. So if we right click the post box, we can see that it contains an inventory. So it has 2 rows of inventory. So it's more than just a new type of inventory. The post box is an important component that you can use to send your packages around. So more specifically, the post box allows you to transfer packages to and from trains. So if you have a train with some depots on it, it can take and receive packages from any post box that has been associated to a train station. So these work just like the frog ports. They have their inventory and you right click them and you can write what the destination is. So this post box is set up to take these packages and send them out on the train, but also receive any packages that are addressed to factory. So here I have packages that are addressed to warehouse and store. And if I go over here, we can see that this post box is addressed to warehouse, so it'll take warehouse packages. And this post box is addressed to store, so it will take store packages. And this packager is set up to address packages to the factory, so anything that comes here will be sent to the factory, which is over here. Alright, so we've seen the basics of package management. Now let's have a look at some of the more advanced features. So let's have a look at 2 new blocks. This is the stock link and this is the redstone requester. So what this stock link does is it allows you to identify a storage container as being part of a certain logistics network. And what the redstone requester does is it allows you to order certain blocks from that logistics network. So if I give this a redstone signal, I will request these 2 blocks, a train track and a stone brick, to come out of this logistics network. So I have this item vault here. This is the package that it produces. And if I break it, well, we'll get a train track and some stone bricks. Alright, so to set this up, what you have to do is you have to right click the stock link with your redstone requester and it'll say that it's tuned to that network. You place the redstone requester and then you right click it and then you can tell it which items you want to request. So now I want some train tracks and some stone bricks and I can scroll with the mouse wheel to change the quantity. And we can also put an address here. So what this will do is it'll make any of the produced packages be addressed to the factory. So now if I place a button and give it a redstone signal, I'm going to get a package with the amount of items that I requested. We grab this package, we can see that we got the train tracks and the bricks that we requested. Alright, so the next new feature that we're going to look at is the factory gauge. So what the factory gauge does is when you place it on a packager, it will tell you how much of an item is in the linked inventory. So here I have 64 brass, and since I set it to brass, well, it's telling me that there's 64. So what's this 64 out of 64? Well, we can set a target amount of brass that we want. So if we have less than that target amount, it's going to trigger anything on that linked network to send brass here until we reach that amount. So there's currently 64 brass in the chest. If I increase this to 100, well, what we'll see is another package will be created and it'll have just enough brass to bring us up to that quantity. So it created a package containing 36 brass. And if we just take the brass out of here, well, that's also going to trigger a package to be created. So now we're going to see a package be made and that package will have 100 brass in it. So there you go, you have 100 brass and that's because of the factory gauge. So now I'll show you how to set up the factory gauge. We can go ahead and place the factory gauge on our packager. We can right click it with the item that we want to track, and then we can right click and hold, and then we can set the amount that we want. So I think I want to have 5 stacks of brass ingots in this chest. So it's red, it says inactive, missing a target address. I'm going to right click it again and I'm going to add an address right here. And we'll see that we will have a new package and this package will contain the amount of brass ingots necessary to bring us up to 5 stacks. So as you can see, we now have 5 stacks of brass ingots in this chest. So before we continue, just a quick little thing about different logistics networks. So here I have a chest that has 64 chains and I have a chest that has 64 shafts. They're both on different logistics networks. So if I look at these gauges, we can see that they indicate that we have 0 shafts and 64 chains. And if we go here, it says the opposite, that we have 64 shafts and no chains. And that's because these gauges are associated to this logistics network that contains the shafts, and these factory gauges are associated with this network that has the 64 chains. So when you're using factory gauges or any other logistics related blocks, be sure that you have them associated to the proper logistics network. So something else that we can do with factory gauges is we can place them on blocks that are not packagers. And if we do that, it'll monitor the amount of blocks that we have on that network. So here I'm monitoring andesite alloy. So instead of saying send me more andesite alloy, I can say send me the ingredients to make andesite alloy. So for this recipe, it's iron nuggets and andesite. So right now I have 151 andesite alloy, but if that amount falls under 64, it's gonna start sending me some iron nuggets and andesite. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna get rid of all the andesite alloy. And we're gonna see that immediately these packagers are gonna start sending out packages of iron ingots and andesite. So here they're getting mixed, and we're slowly sending these packages out to be put into the destination chest. So we have one andesite alloy, we're gonna get some more, and if we just go up to, let's say we have more than 64, well, we're gonna stop sending, and we're gonna see that everything turns green, which means that we've reached our target amount. So it's gonna overshoot a little bit just because there were some extra iron ingots and pieces of andesite in here when I put the andesite alloy into the chest. All right, so now let's have a look at how we set this up. So the first step is always to associate your gauge to the stock link. So now I've tuned it to this network. So now I'm going to place the factory gauge on a block that is not a packager, and I'll right click it with andesite alloy, and already it's telling me that I have 128 andesite alloy. So to set up the recipe, I'll just go ahead and place two more factory gauges. I'll put iron nuggets in one of them and andesite in the other. So now I have to associate these together. So to do that, I'll right click on this one and I'll hit plus. And now this turns green, and I simply right click on the factory gauge that I want to associate to it. So these two are associated. Now I need to repeat the process and add the andesite. So now my setup is complete, and if I go ahead and take some andesite alloy out of this chest, well, let's see what happens. So nothing is happening because I don't have a target amount set. So I'm going to right click and hold and tell this that I want 5 stacks of andesite alloy. Okay, so it's red again. What do I have to do? I have to right click and set a destination address. So I'll just go ahead and write factory, and now we'll see that it's gonna start working. So now we have this animation going, showing that we're sending the source materials to be crafted to create our target material. So you can see that there's a little animation showing that this stock link is getting the signal, and our packages are coming to this basin and they're being crafted. So before we move on, just a quick little note about logistics networks. So no matter how fancy everything is, you still need to physically set everything up to go where you want it to go. So we still have to set up all these conveyor belts and funnels to send the packages to their proper destination. So this just tells the network what to do. You still have to give the network the ability to do that. So up next, we have the stock ticker. So unlike what I originally thought, this is not something that tells you how much your stocks are worth. Instead, what this does is it allows you to order stock from your inventory. So importantly, you need either a blaze burner or you can take a mob and put it on a seat, and either one will work. They will be your stock keepers and they will allow you to order items from your inventory. So again, the stock ticker needs to be associated to the stock link, and you just do that by right clicking a stock link and placing it. And then your stock keepers just need to be adjacent to the stock ticker. So to access your inventory, all you have to do is click on your stock keeper and select what you want. So I have the choice of either levers or shafts, and I can actually click both and change the quantity to as much as I want. Then I can click on send and it'll send it out. Additionally, we can also take the material checklist from a schematic cannon and give that to our stock keeper. So I'll just right click on the blaze burner with my clipboard, and it'll see that there's 345 stone bricks available on this network that are required by the schematic cannon. So I can just click on send and it'll send me the required materials that it has available on the network to the destination. So next we have the tablecloths and the table covers. So the tablecloths are available in 16 colors and they allow you to display items. And the table covers are made out of metal and they also allow you to display items just like this. So they're a cool way to put things on display, but they also have another use. So here I've set up a shop that sells cakes. So if I want to buy these, all I do is I right click and that's going to create a shopping list in my empty hand. So if I just right click this a few more times, I can also add more orders to this shopping list. So now all I have to do is I have to give this shopping list to the blaze burner, and it's just going to automatically take the cost out of my inventory, in this case a few diamonds, and it's going to send this package out along its way that contains the cakes that I ordered. The idea behind this is that you can sell items to other players. So on multiplayer, this is really a cool new feature. Of course, maybe you won't sell many cakes if you sell them for 2 diamonds. Maybe you'll have to adjust your prices according to what you're selling. So to set this up, just right click on the shopkeeper while holding a tablecloth, select the trade that you want and hit on configure. So this will make the tablecloth glow, and when you place it, you'll see that it automatically has the item that you selected, and it also has this little interface here that allows you to set the price. So let's be a bit more reasonable. Maybe we'll sell this for 1 andesite alloy instead of 1 diamond. So now I have my shop set up, and all I have to do is click it with an empty hand, and I have my shopping list. I'll go to the shopkeeper, right click, and it'll generate a package containing my order. So up till now, we've seen a lot about the packager, but now let's have a look at the repackager. So what this does is it takes multiple packages from one order and it recombines them together. So for example here, I have 2 inventories, one containing some seats and one containing brass tunnels. So if I go here to this shopkeeper and I make an order for a brass tunnel and a red seat, what's going to happen is that both of them will generate their own packages. And let's say I don't want to clutter up my conveyor belt. I don't want to have a bunch of packages. I want to unite them together. I can use the repackager to do just that. So just like the packager, you also need to give a redstone signal to the repackager. So now if I break open my package, I can see that it combined the contents of these 2 packages into one single package. So that's it with the logistics components. Now let's have a look at what else that this update adds. So first of all, we have the pulse timer. So this is simply a new redstone component that emits a pulse at the configured interval. So if I just right click it here, I can set either the amount of ticks, seconds, or minutes that I want the pulse to come out at. So there are 20 seconds per tick. So if I put it at 60 ticks, there'll be a pulse emitted every 3 seconds. So the pulse timer is a convenient new redstone component that's going to reduce the amount of circuitry that you need when you need to make an oscillating circuit. So we also have the desk bell, which in addition to making a sound when you right click it, also emits a redstone signal. So the desk bell is a fun new way of making sounds in Minecraft and also of sending redstone signals. And if you place the desk bell on an elevator contraption, it'll emit a sound when you reach your target floor. So throughout this whole video, we've been playing with cardboard packages, but what about the cardboard? So cardboard is required to make packagers. So how do we make this? Well, first we need to make pulp. So the recipe for pulp is any sapling mixed together with some water. So I'm sending the saplings to be mixed up and they're going out on this conveyor. Then I have a mechanical press that presses down on it and makes some cardboard. To make a block of cardboard, it takes 4 pieces of cardboard. And I can also make a bound block of cardboard with a block of cardboard and some string. So this is one of the reasons why I love Create Mod so much. This here is so unnecessary, yet it's a ton of fun. They added a cardboard tier of armor. And they also added a cardboard sword, which is basically just a paper towel roll. The one cool thing about this set of armor is if you have the whole set and you crouch, you will turn into this little package. And when you move around, well, you'll just hop around just like this. And when you're in first person, well, you're just looking through these little eye holes here. And the best part is that hostile mobs will completely ignore you while you're crouching like this. So in addition to being a factory mod, Create is also a decoration mod. So we get these new cherry windows and panes, same thing for bamboo, industrial iron, and weathered industrial iron. And we also have the block of weathered iron. So that's it for the new blocks. There's still some more features, so things that have been modified, their recipes changed, their textures changed. There's a whole bunch of them and I won't cover them in this video, but I will link the changelog in the description. So here are a few of them that stood out for me. So first of all, the rope pulley and the hose pulley have new animations. So they actually have scrolling textures, which I think looks really good. So there's also some changes to the redstone link and the linked controller. So they are now andesite tier, which means that they don't require any brass. So their appearance is changed to reflect this. So now the redstone link just takes an andesite casing and this new item called the transmitter. And the transmitter is simply made from a lightning rod, some copper sheets which have had their textures changed, and some redstone dust. And we can now place metal ladders directly in the air, provided that they have a ladder block directly above them. So I can go ahead and place a ladder block here, but if this ladder block is destroyed, all the ladder blocks beneath them will also be destroyed. Honestly, I'm surprised with how impressed I am with this new update. The Create Mod team did it again and gave us something extraordinary. I'm looking forward to playing with these new features, and I hope that you learned something useful from watching this video. If you'd like to see more, then please consider subscribing and activating notifications. And I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me there. Thank you for watching.